So here I am in my classroom, and today's session was all about unions, intersections, and complements of sets. I had such difficulty sketching them on the whiteboard, but instead I used my PowerPoint to show them the complement of intersection and the intersection or union of the complements. Let me quickly give you a demo of how this is done. So as you can see, it made so much more sense to the students when they can see all the shapes and all the shading coming to life instead of me sketching on the board. So let me quickly go back to the studio and let me show you all about shapes inside PowerPoint. Back in my studio, done with my classes. Hey, my name is Bhavani Kola. Welcome back to my channel. In today's session, you will be learning all about shapes inside PowerPoint. You learn how to edit points, add points, delete segments, merge shapes, union, combine, intersect, subtract, and fragment. It's going to be so much fun. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. The first thing I want to show you is how you can use edit points and change any shape inside PowerPoint. So let me go ahead and click insert, shapes. I'm going to insert a circle. Press and hold my shift button and I get a perfect circle. Right click, edit points, and voila. I see 4 different points on my circle. Every shape has different points. Here I have 4 different points. Let's go ahead and see what these points are. So if I hover over one of the point, as you can see, the mouse pointer kind of changes its shape. I'm going to right click, and here there's a check mark next to the smooth point. That means this is a smooth point. And I do have an option to add a point, delete point, and open path, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So let's go ahead and see what a smooth point does. So here, as soon as I click on this little square, 2 lines with squares kind of appear. So when I drag these squares, you see the shape is changing and both sides of the lines kind of move proportionally. So now when I move up and down, as you can see, the curve is changing proportionally on both sides. So that's a smooth point where both sides change for the curve and for the line as well. So there you go. I think I'm going to leave it to this point. Now let me go ahead, hover on this little square here, right click, and this is a corner point. Now let's go and see how different this is from the straight point. So when I move these, or when I drag these, let me drag this on this way. As you can see, only one side is changing, not the other side. And if you look closely, the point has been anchored down. Only one side of the curve is changing and the other side has absolutely no effect, unlike the smooth point. And again, I'm going to move this maybe up here and I'm going to drag this all the way down. There you go. Oh, that's a love shape or a heart shape. Now, let me go back here, edit points. And here I'm going to go ahead and hover over this point and I'm going to make this a straight point. Keep in mind, you can change the points. So if this is a smooth point, because there's a check mark, I can change it to a straight point. Now, when I change it to a straight point, and if I drag this, as you can see, only one side is changing. And unlike the corner point, it's not anchored down. Only one side of the curve is changing, but it's not as proportionate as the smooth. So you might want to get used to these different points and play with them before you start editing your shape. Now let's go ahead and let me hover over the circumference of this heart kind of shape and right click, and I want to add a point. So there's a point. I added a point. And to know what point this is, I'm going to right click and it's a corner point. But I want to change it to a smooth point. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that and I'm going to drag this. There you go. And now let me go back here on the circumference and let me add another point. Now let me go all the way up here to this little point, right click and delete the point. There you go. So a circle has now become a bean-shaped something. Let me just move this, actually move it that way and move it this way, move it this way. Let me make it back to a heart kind of shape. There you go. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and delete a segment. So what that means is a line joining 2 points is a segment. You can go ahead and delete that. So I'm going to go ahead, hover over this little segment here, right click and delete it. That's been deleted. You don't see it now, but let me go ahead to shape format. Let me make the shape fill no fill and the outline weight to a heavy weight. And as you can see, that little segment has been deleted. Now let me undo that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the path. So deleting a segment is simply click on the segment that you want to delete, which joins the 2 points, and click delete. Now, if I want to open a path, I'm going to hover over the circumference, right click, and open path. What happens is it creates another point and kind of opens up the shape a little bit. Let me show you how. Again, the fill becomes no fill and the lines become extra wide. And as you can see, it has opened up the path. So now I can drag this and voila, it's a whole different shape. So here it is. I started with the circle and I don't know what the shape is. So there you go. That's how you edit points, delete points, add points, open segment, and you can do much, much more with this. But I highly, highly recommend playing with all of these before you start editing. Again, different points, different variations. Now that we've seen how to edit points, now let's go ahead and play with the shapes. So let me go ahead and insert. Let's just say I'm going to insert a circle. Move this to the side. I'm going to insert another shape. I want a star. Let me insert a star. So there you go. I always press and hold my shift button so I can get the perfect star. And now what I want to do is change the fill so you can see the difference between them. So here I have 2 different shapes. So what we're going to see right now is how we can merge the shapes together. So I'm going to highlight both of these. And I'm going to click on merge shapes. If you don't have merge shapes, you can always right click on your ribbon and customize your ribbon and pick merge shapes. So here is merge shape. So when I'm going to click on it, here are my different options. So when I click on union, as you can see, it kind of just blends them together. That's about union. When I click on combine, it kind of deletes the star from the circle and gives me the shape. When I click on fragment, we're gonna come back to fragment in a second. When I click on intersect, it kind of gives me a common shape between both of them. So union is simply blending them together. Combine is it takes out whatever is common between both of them. Intersect, it gives me what is common between both of them. And subtract, it's subtracting the star from the circle. So let me undo this one. Let me undo everything. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead, click the circle first and then the star. And I'm going to merge shapes and subtract. So when I click the circle and then the star, it subtracts the star from the circle. Now let's go back here. I'm going to click on the star first and then the circle. And I'm going to go back and click subtract. As you can see, now it's subtracting the circle from the star. So whichever you click second, that's the one it's going to subtract. So that's about subtracting. And we have seen the union is simply blending. Combine, it simply subtracts what is intersecting. Intersecting is it leaves what is common. And now let's look at fragment, the most important one. So when I click on fragment, it kind of divides all the shapes. What do I mean? So here, this is a shape, this is a shape, and this is a shape. So it kind of fragmented everything that was joining together. So now that you have seen how to combine, union, and merge different shapes, let me go ahead and show you how I used these circles to teach union, intersection, and complement. So I'm going to go ahead, insert a rectangle, which is my universal set. And next I'm going to insert a circle, which is set A. I'm going to copy this, control, and bring it down. I'm going to pick both of them. I'm going to expand the circle here. And yeah, that's good. And I'm going to go ahead and fill this with a lighter color so you can see. And fill each circle with the darker color so you can see that as well. So here I have 2 different circles. So what I want to show is intersection, union. And the best thing to do is to simply select both the circles, click on insert, merge shapes, and fragment. And as soon as I click fragment, every part has been fragmented for me. And here I can click and change the shape. Where did it go? It's right here. And fill it with this. So now I can say that is my A complement, or this is my B complement, and this little portion is A intersection B. So there are multiple things that you can do once the shapes have been fragmented. You can fill these up with patterns if you wish to. Where is it? Shape fill. You can fill them up with picture, gradients, however you want it to. So right click, format shape. In here, when you say fill, all the way in the pattern, here I have blue lines. You can fill them up with blue lines. That's one side. And again, pattern, fill them up with green lines. That's another side. So multiple things that you can do. Now this is for sets. Now let's go ahead and take a look how to create a normal distribution curve. So here I am on my blank PowerPoint presentation. I want to go ahead, click on view, and I want to make sure I have my guidelines and guides, so my grid lines and guides. So let me go back to home. Here I'm going to click insert. I'm going to click on shapes, and I want to create a normal curve. So I'm going to use my triangle, and I'm going to draw a triangle. Let's just say yes, perfect. That's my triangle right there. And as you can see, I use my grid lines to center it. Once that's done, I'm going to right click, edit points, and here you can see it's a corner point. I can tell. I'm going to go ahead and change it to a smooth point. Here I have my curve. Now I'm going to click on these, and as you can see, when I drag this, it kind of moves up and down. So what I'm going to do, undo this. I'm going to use this little line and square to drag it all the way up here. There you go. I'm going to click on this one and use it to drag it all the way up here. Now that does look like a curve. And once that's done, I'm going to click on edit points again, and I'm going to hover over this line, right click, and I'm going to delete that segment. And I'm going to adjust it. That looks like a perfect normal curve. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this with no fill. I'm going to change the outline weight to, there you go. And once that's done, I'm going to click on it and expand it a little bit. So once this is done, I want to go ahead and create the empirical rule, the 68, 95, and 99.5. To do that, I'm going to go ahead, insert shapes. I'm going to insert a rectangle here. And let's just say, that's a rectangle. I'm going to insert, making sure it's perfect. There I have it. Now I'm going to select both the curves, both the shapes, and I'm going to click on merge shapes, and I'm going to fragment. Once it's fragmented, look what happens. This part comes off. I delete this. This part comes off. I delete this. And this little part is one standard deviation. So I can go ahead and change the shape, or sorry, change the color. I'm going to fill this with, let's just say this color. And as you can see, now I have the rest of the two, but I want to go ahead and divide them further because the empirical rule has two standard deviations as well. So yep, that should be good enough. I'm going to copy this rectangle, move it to the other side. There you go. And once this is done, I'm going to select these shapes, Control, select, Shift, 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 going to merge shapes, and I'm going to fragment these. Once they're fragmented, boom, this shape comes off, this shape comes off. I'm going to delete this, I'm going to delete this, and now I can change the colors. If you want to take it one step further, you can always go ahead, right click, format shape, and fill them with patterns. I kind of fill them with patterns so students can understand them better. So now let's go ahead and add one more slide here so I can show you, I think I'm right here, so I can show you how to create sines and cosines using this little shape here. So insert, shape, and I'm going to pick this curve. So this is a curve right here. I'm going to start at 1 point, go all the way up. This is going to be my first curve. Go all the way down, second, go all the way up, down again, You get the idea. If you're trying to create a sine or cosine, you know how to create using PowerPoint now. And again, once that's done, double click to pause what you started and go ahead, change the width. You can change them to a dashed lines if you have to, something like that. And you can always go ahead and edit points here as well. When you click on edit points, as you can see, you can move this up and down, adjust, move it again, move the points, add the points, so you can adjust the curve as well. So now you know how to create all these math shapes using PowerPoint. But did you know you can create art using PowerPoint as well, like the one you see in the background? I will leave the link in the description box below if you're interested. I hope you enjoyed this session. I hope you learned how to change shapes, merge shapes, and do much more in Microsoft PowerPoint. If you did, please make sure you like and subscribe. And if you think it's worth sharing, please go ahead and do so, because you and me both know that there are educators who are waiting to create their work of art inside PowerPoint just for their students. Did you know we now have a Facebook page where you can connect with me and share educational thoughts? I will leave the link for interactive PowerPoint playlists, Microsoft Teams, and Canvas. Do not forget to check them out. And please don't forget to comment in the comment section below and tell me what you thought about the video, how I can improve, and what more videos do you want to see. Like always, happy teaching, and please take care of yourself.